G'day. Today, because it's a new day for me since my last video, but today we are back in Waaseyaa here. Actually, this should be up. So last we spoke, I spun up a new Waaseyaa site, and it is sitting there, as you can see, localhost 8080 up there, same thing. After that last run, I went doubled back to the framework and did some work on replace the custom CLI kernel with the proper symphony classes and whatnot, all the proper symphony way. What am I at now? Okay, so all right, that's why I got a new release in here in Codex. I told it to upgrade to the new release 221. What am I doing here? Oh, it did it, and then I told it to initialize a GitHub repo, or I said local GitHub, but that should just said local Git. And then I ended up pushing it to Jones Russell my-app. So this is what we got so far. That was 35 minutes ago. Yeah, it's just a bare app. It's this. This is the app. Now, I have a prompt in the chamber here, and to demonstrate some of the methods of retrieving the content from Waaseyaa, that being HTML, Markdown, and through JSON, JSON RPC, MCP endpoint. So let's feed it that prompt. It's going to go fetch a story, make an entity. At least it should. That's the theory. Let's see how it does. I'll fetch the Wikisource first. Let's just get this right in here. What is it doing? Rip grep. It's searching for a story entity or a way to create them. Yeah, inspect the Waaseyaa entity / route surface so I can create a stock story cleanly. The chapter is fetched, so it went out to Wikisource. It fetched this History of the Ojibway Nation, chapter 2, and it's going to create an entity out of that, pop in the story, and then hopefully retrieve it in a browser, and through the chat interface here, it should show us a couple the other retrieval results. Waaseyaa is config already. Treats no title, no body as content field, so I'm going to create a story node type plus one node in that bundle. So it's starting from scratch here. Like I said, a stock app, but there's no content in there. The chapter is fetched. The passage is located. A story content type is not present, so it's going to create. Is it going to create a content type? I have no idea what it's going to do. This is my first run through from start to finish with a fresh agent here. Like Codex has no memory of working on Waaseyaa other than what it has right here, which is to say not a lot. So it'll behave a little differently, I'm saying, than say Claude Code, which I normally use and has, its internal memory system and whatnot, and plus it's where I did all the work, so it finds easy paths, known paths for it. This is a stress test under a new agent, kind of just hold on, I'm trying to catch up with what's going on here. I'm correcting the Windows quoting with backtick escaped quote, so the CLI receives valid JSON. I'm checking exactly what PowerShell passes in argv. The inline PHP snippet had its argv expanded by PowerShell, so it's having some real hard times with Windows. I normally work out of WSL, which is in Windows, but of course Linux VM. Repository API is available for the booted kernel. I'm checking the configured content templates so the body field lands in the right bundle storage. I'm checking the project save API. The CLI commands. Jason already did that. I'm creating or reusing the story bundle, registering a body field for it, saving the story, and creating stories / Anishinaabe origin of the 5 totems. I am indeed Ojibway. I'm not familiar with this story. This is my opportunity to learn through developing and having some fun with code and AI. Let's see where we'll take it, but this seems like a good start. PHP on this Windows build won't read stdin scripts. So I'm passing the one-off script via base 60 of WoW. It really has to jump through hoops here. I feel like this would have just been a zip skip in Linux. I don't know if that's to say there's something that I haven't done that would. I guess what I'm saying is maybe there should be some rules somewhere in the framework that would help Windows along. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to dig into that. I'm sure it's a solved problem already. Story is saved as node 1. See, that took a lot of effort in my opinion. Way too much effort. But theoretically, we have a very clean backend entity, and of course the framework gives us ways to fetch it depending on the consumer, whether that be us or an agent. Markdown negotiation works, but it exposes only registered node fields from the running app, not the story body. I'm adding a minimal app level story entity type. So title, body, and source are first class fields. I'm adding a tiny app entity story class and registering it in the config entity types PHP. Then I'll sync schema and recreate the story as that entity type. The story entity type is registered. I'm syncing its storage and saving the source passage into a real story entity. We'll see what that all looks like when we push it. Rather than just skip some steps and just use GitHub as our staging area. What's going on? So we got, here's the story. What was this? Oh, it just didn't have all the fields, right? The language code. This was the original one it opened. Same URL as this one. Of course, there's no labels on any of this, so you can't really see what it is, but it looks like we're getting some better source now. Better output, I mean. The MCP endpoint is live and tools list is populated, but entity.read hit entity access for the custom story. I'm adding a minimal public view policy for story. Deny by default. The policy is in place. I'm rebuilding Waaseya's manifest and retrying the MCP read. The manifest didn't pick up app classes as package attributes, so I'm wiring the policy from the app provider directly. I have to double back on that too. Local policies and Waaseia's compiled packs. Shape and load story policy there for this running app. Big problems there. This is going to require another double back cleanup and record. The manifest now includes app access, story access policy. I'm retrying the MCP read against the running endpoint. So it created the entity, I can't remember if it ran into problems there or it was just the steps that it had to figure out to get there. But then it did hit a real problem with it needed to create, or it created an access policy that gives it read access to this new entity, story entity. But that didn't get put into the manifest for the, I don't know how you describe, for the kernel, I guess, to eventually pick up. And did it work around? It all went by so quick, and I'm trying to talk. I want up here. Nope, too far. Oh, and it buried all the, it buried all that jelly. I'm adding a tiny entity story class and registering it in the entity types. I have to, big investigations to do here. Not really. Okay, here's what I was talking about. I'll add the story access policy to allow public reads while keeping rights neutral. So pretty standard stuff, creating a policy for your access. This is what stood out. The manifest compiler didn't pick up app classes as package attributes. So I'm wiring the policy from the app provided directly. We don't want that, but it worked around. I must have left out of I was trying to craft my prompt, so if it came to a spot where it had to work around a framework weakness or bug or something that wasn't wired in, whatever, it's supposed to stop, but I forgot to tell it to. So it kept going. I don't know if I wouldn't say it's a good thing, but it kind of papered over problems that are actually in the framework that I need to fix. But anyway, the result is cool still. Here's our HTML. It's not pretty, but it wasn't supposed to be. It opened the HTML page that we're looking at. Step 2 makes the request for text Markdown to the same URL. Then it gets Markdown instead of HTML. Step 3, it uses MCP to do the same thing. Just send some JSON and gets back some JSON. That simple. But very cool. Very cool. So saves you a lot of work in the long run. If you want to expose all this, the framework gives it to you for free. Anyway, I got some cleanup to do. Then I'm going to try this again and we'll go take it from there.